Fear not, citizens. Hope has arrived because we are back with more My Hero Academia. This is the Amateur Otaku podcast. We review everything in the world of MHA and, most shonens in general nowadays, I guess, because you guys did uh, Demon Slayer. We're doing My Hero. Bleach is coming back. Fun times. I'm your host today. Dynamite Lives, aka Mike the Novice Cinephile. Joining me, of course, are the two OGs themselves. Brandon, the Scarlet fan. How you doing, man?
I'm excited for this operating procedure, and I can't wait to see its outcome.
Nice. And of course, the Mad Doc himself, Isak Wolf. How you doing, bro?
Well, I don't know how I'm doing.
Yeah, that's
You're
that's
not doing right though.
Eh,
Hey!
got him.
eh.
Spoilers for My Hero Academia, Chapter 364, titled "Why We Wield Power." Guys, it has been a roller coaster of a month for My Hero Academia. We're still in the final act. We're in this giant second war, and I mentioned this in the last episode. Remember when I said All for One looked like he had Aries quirk? That's the case. Brandon, what are your thoughts on how the Doctor was able to synthesize her power from the bullets they got from Overhaul?
So, I'm gonna say something, and I don't know how people are gonna react to this, but I'm gonna say it. I love the chapter, and, and the reason for it is, am I still upset that there's no Deku? I'm not gonna I'm not gonna I'm not gonna knock on
Not
that
gonna
door
not gonna
anymore.
beat that drum this week, huh?
Exactly, because at the end of the day, when you turn us off, there is a little drummer boy just drumming that in the background. So I want to make sure everybody knows that yes, that's not white noise. That's us going. Where the fuck is the tech? But what I like about the chapter is the finality that it puts to this of for these moments that have been happening with All for One. But more importantly, I like that nothing comes out of nowhere. Like one of the things that you can say, whether or not you like it or not, you cannot deny that this is one of those chapters that you can see were planned from a very long time. And Horikoshi actually did a phenomenal job in setting everything up.
Mm.
Like, whether you like it or not, he set up every single thing that's happening. I like the fact that it's not like when Kaguya appeared at the end of spoilers for Naruto, when Kaguya appeared at the end of Naruto Shippuden, like that was like, what in the world of Galactic? You know what I mean?
Where
Like,
in the world is Carmen Sandiego?
okay. Yeah, like when that happened, that was like completely out of nowhere. And the only purpose really was to set up the future of the series, right? Like to set up like what the main villains were going to be for Boruto and all that stuff. And whether you like it or not, Boruto's pretty cool, but a lot of people hate it, but I don't care.
No,
This
it's
is
not cool.
no, no.
Uh,
You see, Isaac keeps complaining because Boruto has to fight aliens, and I'm like, that's still Naruto's fault. That's not Boruto's fault.
True.
Let's not take that out on Boruto.
Correct. So it's like Power Rangers. But what I'm
Go
trying to say
go Power Rangers!
It's
but
more than
the
time.
so
Jeez.
Dragon Zord. So I like the fact that there was so much payoff to a lot of ideas. I like the fact that what happened with All for One didn't come out of nowhere, that it came from somewhere that made sense. Like
Yeah.
we were all talking about where the hell is it coming from, and like we all kind of went to the idea of Aries quirk. But I like the fact that even though he's rejuvenated or whatever, they did point out that Endeavor did bring him to the point of almost death. That this is his last card. And the fact that he's going out of his way to say that this is his last card to play, I think it's important because it brings a sense of dread and finality to whatever he does at whatever his last move is. It's gonna be horrible and crazy, and but then he's gonna be gone. So I like the fact that we're not stretching All for One beyond him living through Tamura. I like the fact that it wasn't that Eri was harmed, but it is a result of everything that happened with the Shihazaikai and Overhaul. I like the fact that the doctor was still looking for ways to help All for One in this way. I like the fact that we were able to see All for One and how he's supposed to look. But then also, as soon as he does that, he becomes like what a real villain should be. He strikes fear to everyone that he touches, because now nobody no longer looks at him like the villain that once was. They're looking him as the actual monster that he is, and the fact that the way he talks about his vision, and I found it very interesting how as he's talking, you have the whole thing with Star and Stripes and all that. You know that
Oh, don't get me started on that
Let him
regard.
finish his point, bro.
you
You get
guys
your
know that
turn
I'm
soon.
you guys know that I'm very big on the whole philosophical aspects of the book and the ideas that are working, and all that stuff with Stars and Stripes worked for me. Where I started to go was, of course, with the whole Bakugo thing, which a lot of us kind of probably feel the same way. But I do like the idea that if he does comes back to life, is at the cost of someone, because that's going to impact Bakugo's life in a very particular way. So I kind of want to see where his story goes when he finds out that for him to be the best he can be, he didn't need help, which is kind of a big turning point for his arc, because his arc was all about him being the very best and him feeling that he didn't need anybody. And the way he lost against Shigaraki was pointing that everything you did on your own was great but wasn't enough. But now someone's sacrificing his life for you so you can live. That weight, that idea will change his perspective in a certain way. And I don't know. I just find I like what this chapter sows for what the future of the series is going to be, or what the future of the act is going to be. But
So's.
but yeah,
You know that you did, and I don't know if you meant to do that pun or not. So
no. Oh no, I did not. That was amazing. I just got it.
Nice.
Oh, and by the way, the same thing I said on Twitter. I don't know, guys, but Horikoshi brought that save straight from Konoha, bro. That was amazing.
Right?
We got
Epic.
a ninja. We got a ninja doing a resurrection jutsu. That's all I know.
We have a ninja fixing one of the main character's heart. So does that make this character Sakura? Just
I mean,
saying.
I haven't really heard of Headshot till now. I mean, I know I've seen him before, but
That is so sad. He's been in the background so much.
I know, like Sakura. So,
Ew.
but back. No, well, here's the thing: the difference
Got him.
is Sakura was forced to the foreground, and oh, I'm sorry. Again, I'm Team Sakura. I really enjoy her as a character. I don't take anything back.
Isak.
I'm done.
Vegeta did it better. Tell us why.
well, first of all, when you talk about Bakugo needs someone else to become better, well, he kind of learned about teamwork ages ago. I mean, do you know the class A, 1A versus 1B? They did win because he knew that he needed to cooperate with his team and all.
Well,
And all that. Yeah.
cooperate.
Blah, 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 blah.
Okay.
And
Blah blah
also,
blah 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 blah.
Jeez.
yes, shut up for once. But
We
anyway,
really gotta ignore the fact that you cut him off earlier, though.
okay, sorry, my bad.
Damn.
My, and
You
second
don't
of all,
regret anything. Go on.
at times I do regret stuff. Being an asshole on the Bakugo chapter? No, not at all. But anyway,
Anyway.
also the whole I do. I did like the whole. I can be with. I'm with Brandon when I say that I like the whole setup against why he were able to quote unquote resurrect his body, and it made sense why he hadn't used this card before. Not to mention, he's on a time limit now. If this was permanently, how the hell would they be able to stop them? I mean, one Shig Ofo alone is going to be dare I say, hellhole for Decker to fight against. And now, if it weren't permanently, if it were permanently, he would have both Prime All for One and Shige Ofo. Yeah, he would need some shit out of nowhere, boosted power to be able to take them both down. But anyway, and then we come to the whole thing about them going into the United States and talking about how they wanted to surrender to Shigaraki because they are helpless because Star and Stripes got killed by him. And sure, I can understand why they want to, quote unquote, take it easy for now and plan behind the scenes. That I can get because their strongest card got incinerated like that. But here's the thing: even though Emerald, it's a trap reference. Yes, had his heartfelt speech and all.
Admiral Akbar.
Emerald Akbar, thank you.
Yeah.
He was clearly an homage to him. All I'm saying this is just we barely knew her, or at all for that matter. And you using her as a card for us to giving emotional about how heroes should never give up and all that jazz. The idea works there, but here's the problem. We barely knew her. And you two are going to get a chuckle out of this, all the things considered. But using her as a talking point of heroes not surrendering and all that jazz, it's sort of like if Avengers introduced Coulson and killed him off in the same movie like that.
It's not the same.
Yes, it is, because we barely knew Star and Stripes.
Can I interject?
And here we and it just made me just, why should I feel? I can see where he is coming for, but why does Horikoshi want me to make a big deal about this? And then we have the whole getting restrict part. If you know a Shonen Jump title, you knew by 99.99% that he would survive, especially considering he's the most popular character in the manga. So people are. So in case you say that I was too cocky, well, I like being an asshole at times and was trying to see if anyone would react toward it. So
really,
but,
you know what it sounds like, Isaac? It sounds like you're making excuses for being wrong. If you knew that was happening,
but
you shouldn't have to cover yourself this much.
Yeah, but I know that.
I mean, I expect you to be.
But here
the
also
Mad
the
Dog
thing.
Isaac of anime.
But
if you know this is what
also,
happens in shonens, then why would you be convinced that he's dying?
Here is also another thing that makes me sort of like pissing me off, and the reason for why I have the whole name in general. Mm. Yeah, how much have you read of Dragon Ball Z, Mike?
I know enough.
You have read and watched the entire Dragon Ball Z?
Let's just say I know enough.
Brandon?
Enough.
Do you know about Majin Buu saga?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Then you know where I'm going with it.
Spoilers for Dragon Ball Z. Go ahead.
In volume 39, we have Vegeta having a heroic sacrifice, doing his best, literally what you can call using self-destruct in the Pokemon games in order to trying to take down Majin Buu, although he failed because it wasn't enough. But you can see why he realized that how, why, and all that. Yes, he wanted to redeem himself. But here's the kicker also. His return, people, while it sort of like, couldn't he just stay dead? It would have been better for his character, kind of thing. Akira Toriyama waited until the last volume of Dragon Ball Z, from 39 to 42, to make him return. He didn't. Here we have and we saw the hero struggling along the way because they didn't have the strongest cards. And here, however, they barely got any consequences or just about Bakugo dying. Okay, consequences is not the right word, but the fake out didn't even last. What is arguably, I would say that this is not even going to be a half a volume of an whenever this is going to be printed on a volume for the My Hero Academia manga, and which makes me ask, why even bother to do this then? If you want to do a fake out, why didn't you wait for Deku as a measuring of, let's say, Shige being able to trigger him emotionally that he quote unquote killed his best friend? It's just, oh, he's dead for good, or something. Then just I wouldn't say seconds later, he's back.
Can I jump in for 1 second, Isaac?
One second, I'm close to done. Okay. Unless Shige is seeing this, ending, stopping them the last second, I think Bakugo's death, quote unquote death, was pointless. At least imagine the Big Ita thing made was at least put some suspense there, because you had volumes until he came back. Here we won't have even a half a volume once it gets printed, and that's a problem for me. Yes, I know that Shonen Jump likes to resurrect their characters that dies, but come on. Now I'm finished.
Okay. Well, not to derail things too much, but the conversation started with me asking, how did you guys feel about Dr. Uchigo synthesizing Aries' quirk from a bullet? So I love how we completely spun from that.
Well, the reality is that I think it was awesome.
Nice. I think that was probably one of the best comebacks in the entire series. Anyway, we're just gonna go ahead full throttle into the Bakugo thing. Everything you said, Isaac, I'm not gonna disagree with you, but I said that 3 episodes ago. And so I guess at this point I'm just I don't think numb to it is the right word, but it's just, it is what it is.
What exactly of Isaac's argument?
Well, Bakugo's death being kind of pointless,
Gotcha.
because it was mainly for shock value. And I will say, it kind of worked, because we had Barrett Courtney on here, and we thought he was going to come back, but we weren't entirely sure. And I think that's what all fake outs are supposed to do. They're supposed to put you on edge. He got the emotional response out of us, because even if you say, I'm 50% sure Bakugo's going to come back, you're still tense, and you're still waiting to dive into the next chapter. You're waiting to see the leaks on Wednesday. You're waiting for this next recording so we can actually talk about it. So I feel like Horikoshi accomplished what he wanted to accomplish. But I also, I wouldn't say, like, you bring up the volumes and how many chapters it was. I don't think that really matters as far as pacing of the story. I feel like, and Brandon mentioned this earlier, I feel like it's a good moment for Bakugo as a character. Because yes, he had that we're going to be a team moment in the Class B arc. He didn't do that in this fight, though, did he? Because he still hasn't fully accepted, I'm not the strongest one here. And the moment he did, he started thinking like Izuku, but it was too late. And this is essentially his second chance to redeem himself. And so I feel like for Bakugo as a character, I understand what Horikoshi wants to do. It may have not been the best execution, but I'm not going to say, oh, Bakugo should have been dead for 10 chapters or he shouldn't have killed him off like this at all. I feel like Bakugo, especially when you think about All Might, right? Bakugo was riddled with guilt when All Might lost his power protecting him. What is he going to do when he finds out Edge Shot gave his life to bring him back? And so, like Brandon said earlier, it's planting those seeds, right, of what is the series going to look like moving forward. The problem with that, though, is that if you tell me this is the final act of the series, why are we planting seeds for story points that are going to come up later? We should be resolving a lot of those, not planting new ones, right? Unless
not if you end the story with a flash forward. You know what I mean? Of the type of heroes that they become at the end, grown up or whatever. Which also, I'm sorry, were you done with your things? I didn't want to.
No, go ahead. You're fine.
So here's the other side of the side of the coin, right? Yeah. It's like the whole, because of this chapter, I kind of still pissed that Deku's not there, but I kind of, because of a chapter like this one, I kind of look all of the previous chapters and a lot of the gripes that I had, I'm viewing them differently now. And the main reason for that is because it makes me think that the point of everything that we've seen is to see how deadly and powerful Tamura has become. Because we've seen crazy stuff, him doing crazy stuff, and we know what he did in the past. But now he's literally leveled up from when we originally saw him as Plus Ultra Shigaraki. Like, this is a completely different character and a completely different level. And what other...
They said All Might level power at the beginning, but now they say he's an unstoppable force.
Right. So it's like, if we needed to... What a great way to show how powerful he is by throwing almost the most powerful characters that we have besides Deku, throwing everything at him and none of that doing anything.
Yeah, the big three, Eraserhead.
Exactly. So doing all of that and not doing a dent, it actually raises the stakes. So, okay, that means that when Deku gets here, this has to be like freaking amazing. But not only that, he's taking people down permanently. He's breaking people apart permanently. And what I love about what's happening is that's just the fact that I love the fact that they're not treating a character death like Dragon Ball, in the sense that if someone dies, we know there's a possibility of bringing someone back. Period. Bringing someone back has a cost.
Yeah.
And the fact that we're seeing that cost is being paid, and being paid in the air of true heroism, to me speaks volumes to what Horikoshi has been trying to teach or show us throughout the entire book. Because not only are we seeing the worst villains have to offer, we're also seeing the best heroes have to offer. People laying their lives for... Because you got to think about it. Edge Shot, it's not a combative hero. He's a support hero, really, I think. Or at least the way I see it now.
He's like a top 10 hero. He's basically like an assassin, essentially. Okay. So he apparently he's part medic, part assassin. We didn't spend enough time with Edge Shot,
right,
to really know. But,
so see, I didn't think about that, but yeah. So he's one of the top heroes, but he understands that Bakugo has something that in this battle, this is the one thing he can contribute. Because you got to think about it. It's similar. It's kind of similar. Like, it makes me think about the Armin and...
Spoilers for Attack on Titan.
Spoilers for Attack on Titan. It makes me think of the Armin and what's the name of the commander?
Irvin, right?
The Armin and Irving conundrum.
Yeah.
Like, does Edshot keep fighting on his own, or does he see something in Bakugo that he sees that him giving his life for Bakugo to live is worthwhile?
I'm
Is
glad
the
you
right
brought
thing
that
to
up
do?
because that was a question I wanted to ask you guys. We don't know Ed Shot very well. As a matter of fact, he has not appeared in this fight for like 10 chapters. I counted. Um, what purpose does saving Bakugo serve? As far as Ed Shot is concerned, he doesn't know Bakugo very well. Bakugo clearly hasn't done anything in this battle worthwhile, unfortunately for Kachan. What is the purpose of him making that sacrifice? What do you
Well,
think he sees in
He
Bakugo?
probably knows the power level of that kid.
well, also they kind of flash back to the fact that Best Jeanist and Edgecott go back, so they have a relationship, and we know that Best Jeanist has nothing but sing praises for Bakugo, because since that internship,
Yeah.
so like for example, we all know that Best Jeanist knew Bakugo's hero name before anybody.
Yeah.
Like that was kind of like the nice tease. So it kind of makes me think that Ed Shot is just like, so this is the kid that my friend put his faith in, and I like the fact of how that connects to the whole argument with Stars and Stripes. And I heard what you said, Isaac. I see why you would think that way, but I think that you kind of missed the point, because that whole argument about Stars and Stripes wasn't about Stars and Stripes. It wasn't about her as a character. It was about the idea of passing down ideologies for the good of the future and the community and society.
Yeah.
And they were using her as an example of someone that stood for the ideals, but not as someone that simply stood for the ideals of heroism, someone that inherited that from the world's greatest hero. And the idea that could be passed down from generation to generation, and not and not only that, the idea of, which is one of the biggest topics, especially in Superman comics, that the whole thing about Superman is that he doesn't see himself. I don't think Superman does. Clark Kent doesn't see himself as a hero. He sees himself as a guy trying to do the best he can do every day. It just so happens that he's Superman, and that's the best he can do. So he's a Superman. But
Exactly.
but he is trying also to be an example for the common man and inspire the common man to be the best that they can be. And that's the argument. All Might did everything he could to be the best example. Stars and Stripes did the same thing following All Might. Why wouldn't we, even though we don't have the power, why wouldn't we try to be the best that we can be, as opposed to just give up and suffer underneath All for One and All for Shiggy? That's the
Yeah.
argument. That's the argument. And that is very powerful, because you also got to think about the idea that Edshot is following that train of thought, that train of vision, and that's why he's giving his life.
It's also like I see where you're coming from, Isaac, by why should we care because we don't know her. But I feel like that's exactly the point, right? All Might inspired Star and Stripe, and he's a Japanese hero. She's an American hero. But his reach was so broad, so strong that he still was able to touch her and inspire her. And that I feel like that's the point, right? These heroes, these icons inspire the next generation. And so I feel like not knowing Star and Stripe kind of still feeds into that idea of anyone can become a hero as long as these icons still exist for them to look up to, regardless of where they're from, regardless if you even know each other. Like I think that also plays into Edshot not knowing Bakugo doesn't matter. He sees this child dying in front of him, and he's going to do whatever he can to bring him back. So I feel like the idea of heroism and the ideals All Might fights for is what that moment was representing. Not necessarily, oh, we mourn Star and Stripe, but more of that the ideals that All Might, the character we do know, still stand to this day and is combating the exact ideology of All for One. And side note, I just love how Hawks is like, yeah, we're keep monologuing, bro. Keep talking. Let the timer run out. Keep
No,
going.
and the funniest thing is when you look at the chapter and the way that Horikoshi constructed it, it's actually pretty brilliant because on one side you have All for One talking about that sense of inherited will for good. That's what he's trying to destroy. He's trying to destroy that sense of righteousness and heroism and doing the right thing that the world as a community holds,
Yeah.
where community feels disgusted as at evil acts or bad things. He wants to turn that on its head so people feel disgusted about being heroic, which is very interesting, very superficial, but also like he's the big bad. He has to have something grandiose, right? It's like that's his infinite Tsukuyomi. It is what it is. But I just love how it's two sides of different coins, and the idea of these conflicting ideas going down on different characters, different levels, different ages. I don't know. It's freaking fascinating. And
Go
yeah,
ahead, sorry.
I don't know. I like, and more than anything, if it wasn't because of all the setup that Horikoshi has done, this chapter wouldn't have worked. And like this is the moment where Horikoshi as a writer, you can see how it pays off for him in the story because none of this came out of nowhere. Like there's so much to dig through because he's been talking about this long form and this, I don't know, it's great.
Yeah, the only thing, and I'll ask you, Brandon, like, what are your thoughts on like Ed Shot saving Bakugo? I'm fine with because, like, the few appearances we have seen, he has been like piercing people's bodies, and I completely buy he has an understanding on how all of that works. But it's the last page for me where he says, "I will be this boy's heart." I'm like, what the heck does that mean? What does that entail? And is that even possible?
I
It's
I
kind of
don't know.
weird.
I think that's where it gets to the metaphysical thing where we just have to go with it. He just
Uh-huh.
becomes, I don't know. But I
Yeah.
like the fact that it's not like they're not playing a card like, oh, we can just pick up the Dragon Balls and do it. I like the fact that the way this moment is built like a one shot. Like this is, if it works, it's not like we have another edge shot lying around. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
They're
Like I
down one
love the
less
fact.
hero.
Yep, exactly. But also it makes me think like in throughout the entirety of the book, the idea of quirks that heal people or stuff like that always have had a limit. So I actually like that idea is still present here.
Uh-huh.
You know.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So one of the things that I kind of had an issue with going back to the Star and Stripe stuff is just how willing the U.S. was to lay down and just like give in to All for One. Um, I don't know, especially since this is a Japanese manga, Japanese comic. It's like, is this how they really perceive us? They perceive us as that weak, huh? To where it's like, oh, got to give up to Shigaraki,
Well, you
throw
got
in
to
the
think it.
towel.
Well, you got to think about it. Why would a leader give up if not because he's afraid of dying? He's afraid for his own life that he's going to do whatever he can so that the least amount of people die, including himself, whether or not that means that they live up to who they want to be.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know. I don't know, man. They didn't show what president that was, but I don't know.
Yeah, that was very, very intentional.
Yep.
But yeah, did you have anything else you wanted to go over before we call it an episode? Because I think even though this episode was way shorter than the last two or three, I feel like we had some good conversations on everything that's happened so far.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know.
Potato.
Hey,
Potato.
Sasha, we miss you.
Um, Aww.
Yeah, we
It would
do.
always be too soon. Um, I don't know. I feel that a certain sense of hope towards where this can go. I feel that this, because of the type of conversation that we had, because of the way he handled the chapter, it kind of rejuvenates me a little bit. I'm still pissed that I don't see Deku, but I'm like, okay, I'm digging it. You haven't forgotten what you're trying to do. You know what I mean?
It's that hope, right? It was nothing but despair for the last three chapters, and
Yes.
that's why I feel like even though that stint of Bakugo's uncertainty was very brief, it was a lot briefer, especially when you factor in there was a break, so there was no chapter.
Yep.
But I feel like that's the point, right? My Hero Academia's the entire story is hopeful, optimistic, and you have those moments of darkness, and I feel like that was just the ultimate
Yeah.
darkest point for Deku to come in. To I don't even think Deku's going to save the day right away. He's going to have to put up one heck of a fight to claw out of this.
Yeah.
But like seeing Hawks smile, right? All for One's talking about this timer, and you see this like smirk on Hawks's face because he's like, okay, if I just keep this guy monologuing, maybe we can run out that timer and nobody has to die here. Or Edshot at the very end of the chapter, he has a grin, right? Because even though he is going to die, he knows that Bakugo is going to get back up. And
Right.
I just want to say, when Bakugo does eventually get back up, um, he was deducing Shigaraki's fight pattern last we saw him awake. So he might come back with a vengeance, and he might come back with an actual game plan, and that's the
Right.
kind of stuff that excites me.
Yep. One of the things that I thought about, uh, that I forgot to mention because I was listening to you guys and I thought about it, is like,
Yeah,
I like how the ability of One for All and the ability of All for One speak to the actual ideologies of both trains of thought that Horikoshi, like that particular quirk is embedded into the ideology of heroism. The idea that that quirk got stronger because more like-minded people used it,
yeah,
and so I like the idea that that spirit of working together for a brighter future is kind of like what's going to give One for All a lot more power. But at the same time, this character development, this possible character development that we're going to see from Bakugo, I wouldn't be surprised if this is the kind of thing that could set up a ending towards a kind of a Heroes Rising kind of thing, which
yeah.
I'm totally game for.
It's gonna be interesting to see what happens when Izuku arrives because I mentioned this to Isaac off air, and he said it was one of his complaints, right, of resurrecting Bakugo so fast it's almost pointless. Like if Deku comes back
I
and
still stand by that.
hush, it's my turn to talk now. See, it's not very fun when somebody responds like that.
You're so mean.
Eh.
Yeah. Anyway, it's kind of weird if Deku shows up and he's just like, "Well, I guess Edshot died. Let's do this, Kachan." It's like I don't know if that's as satisfying as it could have been or even should have been. Like maybe you should have had Deku see Bakugo die, as opposed to having all this happen and we don't even know what the heck Izuku saw. Because last time we saw him, he's looking off into the distance. I'm like, oh no, we don't even know what that was. What is that? The U.S. Is
I
that
mean, we're still
Nomu?
waiting like for 5 years.
Exactly. The Avengers would have brought us back by now. That's how long we're waiting. So
Damn.
that's the thing with the whole Bakugo situation where it's like I feel like you could have done this a little bit better. And I've been saying that for the entire arc, but like that specific moment, it's like, what would have happened if Deku arrives as Bakugo's heart stops? And the dynamics of that, you know? But that's me rewriting, and I try not to do that because as we've seen, if you just give it time, it all starts to make sense in the end. So
Yeah,
that's where I'm at on it.
true.
Yeah, I can see what you mean.
Anything else, Isak? I know you were quiet for a few minutes there.
No, I don't really know.
Okay,
Sorry about the ranting, but there was
you're
so much. I mean, uh,
you're
I hope it's
fine. It's just
payoff.
fun messing with you.
Truth.
Likewise.
Okay.
But mostly messing with Brandon.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. BA, anything else, man?
I still believe in heroes.
Yes, we do. We still believe in heroes. Guys, if you are listening to this, we have a giveaway for My Hero Academia World Heroes Mission on the
Woohoo!
Twitter. It expires. The giveaway ends on September 2nd. Make sure you enter that. It's the pinned tweet. We also have a YouTube short on the channel explaining how to enter that giveaway. So check that out if you need more instructions. But with that said, this has been My Hero Academia Chapter 364. Why we wield power. It was a fun chapter, even if there's moments or things we didn't particularly care for. I feel like personally, after the month we've had of conversations and pain, this was probably one of the more entertaining ones for me. If you guys want to keep talking MHA, follow us on the Twitter at Amateur Otaku Pod, and you can contact us individually. Brandon, where can they find you, my man?
At the Scarlet Fan 52 on Twitter, and at the Scarlet Fan 52 on Instagram.
Nice. Isaac, what about you?
Well, you can find my work at Robin Entertainment. You can find me at Emblemaniac on Twitter.
Awesome. You can find me at Novice Cinephile on YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram is The Novice Cinephile, and you can find my work at collider.com and Geek Vibes Nation on YouTube or on their website, geekvibesnation.com. And with that said, we will see you guys next week for more MHA. Have it awesome. As always, go beyond. Plus
Plus
Ultra.
Ultra.
Bakugo lives.